Good afternoon. How are you? Well, it's a nice day. It's in the 40s. There are more green things and buds appearing, and that's nice. And there's kind of an Irish mist I'm walking through. There's sad news today about a great lady, Madeleine Albright. She lives in the county where I live. She's lived in the county where I live, Loudoun County. She's been active in local politics, despite the fact that she was our Secretary of State. Madeleine was a wonderful woman, not just a brilliant one, and not just in the area of, foreign affairs. And she spent a great deal of her time in it. And she was the first woman Secretary of State. So she was a special person. In recent years, she helped a lot of candidates run for office. And a good friend of mine, Kelly Burke, an Irish lady who is the mayor of Leesburg, she was a close friend of Madeleine's. And Madeleine Albright once said, "There's a special place in hell for women who don't help women." So sometime today or yesterday, Madeleine died of cancer at about 84. I say about because I'm not sure. It's only happened, the announcements only happened within the last hour or so. And there's another great lady who's with us still, who's on her way to the Supreme Court, unless something tragic and unfair occurs, and that's Judge Jackson. And it's interesting to contrast how women behave in men, and how among the men, how the Democrats handle themselves and the Republicans. Women are familiar with the fact that when they say something in a meeting, that two things may happen. A man will interrupt as if they weren't talking at all, or they'll steal the idea that the woman had, and it'll be adopted by the group without reference to the original speaker who presented it. And the one who gets the Interrupt a Woman Award is Lindsey Graham. You know, Hawley and Cruz came close, but nobody can beat Lindsey, because Lindsey asks a question, but he doesn't really want the answer, particularly from an intelligent, sensitive woman who knows exactly what she's talking about when he doesn't. And so he really should just make a statement for 10 or 20 minutes and forget about the questioning, because he's not interested in the answer. The other thing that you see among these Republicans is that, for instance, even the ones that sound more reasonable, they quote to her a question she made as if it was a statement and ask her about it. And they count on her not remembering, in the thousands and thousands of pages that have been produced to the committee, what the context was. And on several occasions she said, well, if you just read the next sentence, you'll see, A, it was a question, and B, I was setting up what the argument was to then decide it, and I didn't decide it that way. But they don't care. And I think that they hope that they'll have a cover story for voting against her in committee. And the two key issues that they're working on is that, this is a woman who is not concerned about child pornography. Nonsense. The mother of children, and she's answered it and so forth. But you won't see that on Fox. And the second thing, and Lindsey Graham just lost it the other day about this, she's not concerned about these criminals and so forth, and how they're doing these things, and she was helping those people in Guantanamo. Whoa, stop the music. They never proved a thing about the people at Guantanamo, which is one of the problems with it. And it's interesting when they talk about recidivism, and forgive me, I think I'm repeating myself from yesterday, but recidivism means after they were released, they did again what they did before, but they never proved that they did anything before. And would you just be a little bitter if you spent several years, been tortured and everything else? And I'm not arguing for the terrorists, but we bring this shit upon ourselves all the time. I think that, let me talk a little bit about the porn cases. With the internet, and this is what she mentioned, people in a second, maybe not even knowing what they're downloading, download all sorts of stuff. The internet doesn't do anything to block it. And So then a person has this, and the government wants 50 years. And she's saying, is that what you do to a 25-year-old? And what about the fact that 60% of the judges, the federal judges, are going below the guidelines to take account for the youth, that there was no predatory practice, that there's no prior offense? And so how do you cure that? Well, part of it is the science says these people outgrow it, or they were abused themselves. And so, you know, she has sentenced people to custody, but she thinks she has a job besides just punishing them. And outstanding judges in America have pushed back. But when 60% of the judges look at the guidelines and they go below it because they think they're too harsh, then they're saying something. And these issues, I think, are showing America that these senators don't know that much. I mean, if I was a first-year law student, knowing what we knew then, you know, and having an interest in law and politics before that, I'd look at these guys and I say they're misrepresenting what the Constitution is and how it works. They're misrepresenting how these cases are prosecuted. When I was at Columbia Law School, I had an opportunity to go to juvenile court, which was sealed and so forth. And I saw the most amazing abuses in New York City in these proceedings. And that teaches us something about how to reform our process so that it's full and fair, and so that the result is actually conforming with what we say it's supposed to conform with, but it doesn't. They still treat children as if they're chattels, like they treated women, and like they discriminated against persons of color or sexual differences or whatever. So America needs a lot of work, and I think these senators show that. It says something that Senator Leahy, who has always had a very nice way about himself, stepped out of the hearing to remark on how misleading and how they conducted themselves in a terrible way, they being the Republicans. And I think it's true. We had an opportunity, certainly the Republicans are not going to take it, to show America what the law means and to earn their trust. And in fact, Judge Jackson at one point said that one of the elements of a court is that the people trust the law so that they obey it. And if you read anything by Breyer, whom she's going to replace if all goes well, he had the same view. And that is, why do people obey the law? They don't do it just because of the coercion. They do it because they respect the law. And the Republicans are doing everything they can to tear it down. In part, I guess, it's part of their defense for trying to overthrow the government to elect the man who lost a presidential election. So, that's all I have for today. Have a good day. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.